You've got mail.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Welcome to the 2021 budget hearings. The judge, for those of you who have scheduled, the judge is out of town, will not be here, as well as Jason McCarty. So they communicated with us otherwise about any concerns or suggestions they have. So Commissioner Meece is here now because he has meetings in Indianapolis. So we just had a few things we want to ask you.
Okay.
Health insurance, you kind of went over this the other day. Do you have any update on that? You said there might be an administrative fee.
Yeah, there's always,
you think there is or will be, or you don't know?
There's always that percentage of whatever inflation is for administrative fees. Those are fixed, just fixed rates. They have nothing to do with experience. So experience would say, sure, that's going to go up, but I don't know how significant that would be. That's a pretty small part of our overall stuff. Experience-wise, we're about $250,000 ahead of where we expect to be. We're not really budgeted, but where we expect to be. So we're really doing pretty well. So I think it should come in a favorable. Of course, at the end of the year, those who are having experiences have used up their deductible, have met their deductibles. Now it starts coming out of us, out of the plan. So usually have an increase the last quarter. So far, it's looking pretty good.
And if I remember right, we in 21, the employees then will be at 15%. I think is that. You think that's right? Madam Auditor.
Yes.
Yeah, every year it should come.
So they would be. So we would be at 85, 15.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I guess where we go from there will be a decision for another time.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We had talked, you, me, and Roy and others had talked about having the partnership, specifically Cindy, do the community cross-search grant.
Right.
She does it for the town of Rockville, I think, and maybe others too.
And we are doing that.
Just the town.
Yeah.
So what we need, that's why I asked Cindy to be here, is so that we understand the logistics of how she's to be, or how the partnership's to be paid for that. If you want to talk about that, Cindy, you mentioned something about there's a percentage of the grant, or how do you want to do that? Because we need, the auditors needs to know, and we need to know as well.
Sure. The precedent that we've done so far with community crossings, and that's been with the town of Rockville, was 2% of the project total is what we received.
Is that if we're awarded, or whether we get the grant or not?
Only if it's awarded.
Only if it's awarded.
Yes. So we're taking the risk on our end of spending the time, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But that's what we did.
So does the town then just write you a check then for that 2%? Is that how they've done that? Or?
Yes. Yes. And that's with, just talking about community crossings though, that's with the understanding that the applicant, which would be the town or the county, has already their road asset management plan completed, identified how they're going to impact those, is it full asphalt paving, is it chip and seal, whatever it happens to be, is that plan is already put together, approved. We do not do any part of that. We will enter the grant and administer that through that process.
So one of the questions that's been asked is, well, why is the highway not doing this? And the answer is, it's nothing that they've done wrong or doing wrong, but Cindy is very adept at these grants. These grants are extremely and are going to get more competitive. She has a good understanding of what they're looking for because they look for any little thing to kick you out. A signature not there, a flagman not included, all kinds of just nitpicky stuff are kicking these out. So we need, really, I feel like a professional, she is, to do these and to make sure, because it's imperative that we get these grants. And so that is the answer to that question as to why. And I think the commissioners were on board with that, I believe, or Jim.
Well, we did. The highway department, of course, was offended that felt they were being told they were doing something wrong, and I assured them repeatedly that that's not the case at all. But you have other things to do, and so that's what we need to do. We're going to turn this over to a professional grant writer to pursue. And their argument was, well, they don't really need it, but it's not their call. So I don't want to ever offend anybody, but you guys wanted it that way, so we went with what
And it doesn't mean that, and we can always go back. I mean, if we find that it's not working, then I think it's a good idea. And
We have missed.
it's a big job. I don't think anybody understands. We talk a little bit about, well, when Meece gets done, talk about a little bit how much time goes into all this. It's not like just filling out.
Well, like Cindy was saying, most of the work is done ahead of time with the 5-year plan, with the asset management plan, with the PASER rate.
Which they'll still all be responsible.
They still owe you those anyway. And so, the real part then is turned over to Cindy and show the actual grant writing, fill out the paperwork and make sure that it's done according to Cindy. So, that's the way you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and that's what worked well in the past, and just as far as what is involved. So through the website that's provided, you have to put in the road, the measurements, you have to put it in GIS, you have to detail out exactly what's being done, what the estimate is for that section of road, make sure all the tasks are identified, so that's where like the whole flagging and make sure you got traffic control going on comes into play. And you do that for every road that is in your plan of what you're applying for. And again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it takes a lot of time. I know when I did Rockville's, we probably spent a good 80 to 100 hours doing that. Just making sure we had everything in place and correct. And interacting too with LTAP and with the management of the grant system as well. So while it's not anything that the highway department did wrong, it is a lot of hours that they could potentially spend.
And I think that's the other thing is, they have other things, as Jim said, that they need to be doing and spend, so many man hours on these grants. And it's important that, and you also have a pretty good, I think, understanding of how they're scored too, so you know what boxes to check that they're going to be looking for. So that, it always helps if you understand the scoring.
Well, it's good to have somebody who can pursue those things. Last time we had a problem because there was a section of the road that the state and the county didn't agree what the name of it was, so it wasn't included because their name was different than our name. Somebody needs to confirm that all those things are accurate all the way through every road. You guys made a wise choice to go ahead and pay to fill that space in. There was no reason to leave that gap in that new road, so you did good on that. So it's
Well, I think we've all gotten a lot of questions when that was done, why we left the straits that was undone. I think the public would have thought, well, what's the need?
sure. And that's simply because of a conflict that otherwise might not have been aware of.
And I want to add too about kind of that inventory. So if it's not in the county's inventory, you can't apply for that. And we ran into that for Rockville. They were trying to do the alley by the post office. That's not in their road inventory. So that was ineligible for the application, and that's not something that they were aware of until we started going through the process. So we have to ensure that that is included. The other thing I want to mention that we would still need assistance possibly from Jamie or Randy. So with ITAP, which is the website you do the application through, they give you identifiers based on who you are related to the applicant. So since I am not technically a county employee, I'm more of a consultant, I cannot initiate an app or submit an app. So I would need Jamie's ID or Randy's ID or sit there with them to go through that process. Because they do require to be an employee of the applicant.
I'm sure that Jim could work
Which is
that
not
out.
a big
He
deal.
could work that out. Can't you see that or whatever? Well, our hope is, you all work together.
Yes.
That's the hope.
Yeah, and I've already met with Jamie.
Okay. So I thought, well, maybe that'll answer their questions. I mean, it's nothing against them, but we're going to try this. If it doesn't work, why, we'll try something else.
What I'm kind of hearing as well is that what Janie and Randy can spend more time on now with Cindy shepherding through the application is getting the next one started down the line, because if we're going to have a situation where road is not on an inventory that you all decide that you're going to do something with, that could be addressed ahead of time and get straightened out. We can already start planning ahead for what the next one would be, and maybe even get the ball rolling so that you have all this start to streamline in on itself.
So we already do that to some degree. I mean,
But it frees up more time.
We've always had a 5-year plan, but it's not been a real viable 5-year plan. But you really can't do a real viable 5-year plan, because you don't know what's going to come up. You don't know what pipes are going to go out, what roads are going to go washed out, you just don't know. So you make a plan, but
A 5-year plan is always a living and breathing document.
yes.
And I'll mention too, I mean, when I talk about the 2% for the project cost, just in comparison to other grants. So for example, with Okra grants, the grant administrator can request up to 8% of the grant amount for compensation for their time and administration. And then with USDA, they really don't have a limit, but they follow somewhat the same guidelines with Okra. So when you think about what could be asked for, or if you were to have an engineering firm do that, it's even much higher.
2% sounds like a bargain to me, but, you know.
Well, it's a $1 million project, that's $20,000, and that $20,000 will pay for $250,000 a month. So, I think it's good money, too.
It's better than no grant at all. Did you want to ask Cindy anything else about, you're moving into the emergency management building, I guess, at some point?
The Meece building, yes.
The Meece
Yeah,
building.
we got
Named it
it
after yourself.
Jim.
Okay, the Meece building. Okay.
We'll fix the cracks in the wall at least.
I will wave my wand at it, we'll be taken care of.
Yes, the plan is next month.
But do keep in mind, we, this last grant of about $1 million covered about 10 miles, so it's about $100,000 a mile. So we did 10 miles for $1 million. We have 350 miles of road, paved roads that we can redo. So we only need about 35 million. So if you guys go out and go bond 35 million, we can pave all the roads in the county. Just put that in mind every year in the budget. So, not a problem.
Only the bus routes in North part of the county.
One of the, I don't have a problem with the compensation method. We had talked, at least John and I had a little bit about putting some more compensation in the partnership line that is a direct payment. You're obviously not going to have the office over there, and that's going to lighten the expenses on the partnership. So, I mean, I think we're contributing well to that.
Okay.
What will we pay in rent?
So that was $3,000 a year we were paying in rent.
So we're saving 3,000. It's not much, but it's 3,000.
Right.
But we're also going to be putting in about $5,000 of a one-time investment into that building to
You're going to do the signage and stuff,
the
right?
signage and the wiring cable so that we can have a separate network for phones and internet that's not on Chris's network. And that's about $2,500 just to put the wiring in.
Well, that's a lot. I know that. You guys are looking into the reviewing the comp time policy, I guess. Are you, where are you at on that?
We're not very far. Nick's looking at what the options are, whether
Well,
county.
it's been getting something done over there now, really, I think.
Well, it needs to be fixed. It's
Well, I know,
it's not over it.
so you're still working, so the answer is you're working on it. Okay, all right, that's all I need to know.
We're looking at, had an offer of a place to put cameras out at the recycling plant. Ron Wheeler owns that building next to Shopko. He's looking to put renters in there. But he has offered us a place to put cameras and a place inside to put the equipment to do the cameras, always. So, I don't know where you guys are on, if you think it's money you're willing to spend to put a camera system on the recycling. That is so valuable to us. They do all, and the lady's going to come. She met with us, and I asked her to come talk to you guys. It costs about, the recycling costs about $1.75 per person in the county, so that's pretty cheap to have the recycling for $1.75 a year, not a month, but a year, is what it costs. And they do pick up Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which surprised me, but they pick up the recycling Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They pick up the cardboard every Tuesday and Thursday. I felt there have been times that hadn't been picked
Now,
up.
I can't imagine that we're giving that much stuff and they're
Yeah,
picking it up that.
so I told her I'll monitor that, and I am, been checking, but so far,
It's been happening.
it's been happening, so. we'll see.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, maybe it might not hurt to have her come sometime, because we have some questions. We understand they have a large cash balance.
It's still about 900,000 the cash balance. That is
Why
why
they need to have such a large cash
Well, they're
balance.
leading it down. They're leading it down by reducing the village to us by about 100,000 a month. So we're walking that down. So they're down about 600,000 from where they were even a year ago. The rumor is that Montgomery County is going to pull out and start their own. She said they have not really communicated that with her. She doesn't think that's actually going to happen. She thinks that was just being talked about happening.
Oh, they passed the resolution.
Yeah, John Fry, I'll probably see him today, so I'll talk to him today about that, see what their intentions are. But as far as she's concerned, she didn't think they're really going to do that. I think that the savings that Montgomery County was looking at was going to be about $24,000 a year by doing their own, but would also create 2 or 3 jobs at a recycling center if they did their own. But then they got to decide if that's really worthwhile and worth making that change. I did have Wallace give us a quote of what it would take if we did away with that, and we had to haul our own. It has to be hauled to Indianapolis, and it would be $500 a pull. So we're talking 5 pulls a week. That'd be $2,500 a week to pull recycling. Nobody else would be doing that. For us to get an extra pull, it'd just be about $150 a pull. So if we have a week where it gets full, like during busy times, festival typically, or that kind of thing, or long weekends, after Christmas, $150 a pull. Not a bad way to go. That's $2,500 a week. That's $10,000 a month. So we're looking at pretty big cost here to do it on our own. So I think we need to stay in that partnership.
Okay. Well, do you want to get us do you have any idea on the cost of if you want to put a camera out there?
I have none.
Well, why don't you get us some kind
I
of
will.
cost estimate?
I will.
I mean, I know you've had some problems out there.
We are also looking at doing something in the EOC building. We have good cameras now. Good cameras, good audio. The audio needs to be made differently. But the guy who did the courthouse security cameras is going to come talk to us. We need to have a thing, like John says, does the streaming. It'd be better for him and for us if we had a permanent camera mounted, so all he would have to do was come in and hook up to that feed coming off the camera and the audio, then he could send it out through his website, and it would be it's really high quality camera from 2 different directions. You see the speaker, someone's testifying before you versus showing the council all the time. So I don't suspect cost on that to be too much because we already have the cameras in place now, and it's going to a box. So it's really just a matter of seeing what he can do with the audio and seeing how we can transfer that signal from that box to John's computer, get it out and get it going.
My streaming service is also ready to go with dual cameras,
Great.
so my site's ready to go.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll think about that.
Okay.
Okay, anything else for me? We'll need to move on. Okay, thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Enjoy your meeting this evening.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay. Mr. Prosecutor.
In a little bit
Go ahead.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you?
Great. Great. Glad to be here. Nice mask you got there.
Thank you.
Yeah, look nice.
I'm having trouble drinking my coffee.
How do you drink? That's my question. How are you doing with the drink your coffee? Well, the floor is yours to talk about.
I don't think there's really much. I don't think there's really anything really different. If I remember right. Well, the salary. Yeah.
Did I see someplace
We ought to
state's
make-
giving the
I ought to make sure I
prosecutors
put it
and judges a raise? I thought I saw that in the paper, that the judges and the prosecutors are getting a raise.
I don't know. I didn't lobby for that.
Oh, you did lobby for that?
I understand you may be willing to contribute some to a sheriff's vehicle.
Yeah, I told Cole we contribute $5,000.
Because I had to pull your pretrial diversion, you have 103,000 in there right now, so. We're not sure what we're gonna do with the car.
Well, I can tell you, we cannot budget for his 5,000 because we've already advertised this.
Well, we can always do
But
it.
we can do it.
We would have to do it with the.
He just asked me the other day. so-
Yeah, well, yeah.
Right, yeah,
That's fine.
I just
We're
make
buying
sure
another
that-
car, is that what we're doing?
Well, there's an ask, and so I'm just trying to plan ahead that how we would fund it if you okay it or if we don't. But Steve has said he's willing to contribute 5,000, so that's a start. We'll be hearing from the sheriff later this morning, so I guess we'll hash that out.
Right.
We'll just let you know if
Right.
we want the money, we'll call.
I get it.
Anything else that you want to?
No, not really. you have anything? Like I said, I always make sure I put enough in the salary just to cover whatever you guys.
Sure. Well, we're gonna wait and see how the income tax numbers come in before we deal with salaries. My gut feeling is it won't be this too bad for next year. It'll probably be in 22 and 3 is when, because those income tax numbers turn around about a couple of years wrong. So I doubt if we're gonna take that big of a hit now, but probably in 22 and 3. And that's what we're thinking. Christina, do you want to talk about the title 40 or?
I had this big speech prepared, but.
Okay. I saw you had a wedding anniversary. I can't believe you've been married 30 years. Is that right?
That's right.
Wow.
There's,
Congratulations again. Congratulations.
has Eric talked about parole?
Not yet.
Yeah.
He's talked about murder.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you guys have done. I appreciate you coming over.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you. Come on up. We're ready for you, Greg.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
How are you this morning?
I'm in good shape.
Good. Good. Anything you want to share with us, or just
No,
go right
well-
ahead?
We did pretty good this year on section corners. We've gotten 34. And I brought this is kind of what we ended up with. It's,
Pass it around, or?
yeah.
Great.
It's a sheet that's certified by Parke County. It shows the coordinates, when the stone was originally placed. And those then are put in the book with
So you got one of
the
those
original
for every,
survey.
got one of those for every corner,
What's that?
got one of those for every corner you found?
Every corner we found,
Wow.
the document is produced.
Most of those corners, what are they looking, most of them made out of concrete or
No,
rocks?
they're rough.
There's stone.
I think I have one on my property someplace. My dad told me about one time, and he said, do not touch that. Do not do anything with it. Do not disturb it. And it's nothing, if you look down, it's just some old rock. I mean, you think.
A lot of them had an S curve.
Some of them have carvings on them.
Oh, did it? Oh, look and see. I never really looked at it
The
either.
certain one we found, Greg, was a concrete post that had a stone
Right.
embedded in it.
Mm-hmm. And what they've done, there was, that farmed out in that area, that Roderick, and he put a lot of those, those stone fish corners in, with the braces on. And you see a lot of them out in that area. And he, a lot of times if they were on a section fold, they were in corner, they took the stones and put them up there on top of it.
Preserve.
They were that accurate on locating their fence lines.
The one I have next to a fence corner post,
Yes?
and it's just right at the bottom of that post. It's a section part. Don't mess with that.
Don't mess with that.
That is neat, though. I mean, it's great that you're doing that. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. That saves everybody, anybody that does land transfers and splits and stuff, and it helps save that money because the survey costs get lower because they get close to a section.
That's part of the survey, is all surveys start with one of these stones.
Yeah.
So if we have to get this information of where they are, then that's a lot.
Absolutely. The more that they can get done, the better, just because there's a closer stone every time now. How many more you planning on this year?
Well, what I was wondering,
Yeah, general.
so we're done.
That's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
That makes a difference.
Hey, Greg, I got, department request is less than appropriated budget. Did you take that voluntarily or something?
Did I take the pay cut?
Voluntarily or something?
Should have been the same
I
as,
know, but.
it should have been the same as last time.
Yeah, that's $600 less, we appreciate it. Yeah, we'll fix it.
we'll fix it.
We'll fix it.
I don't pay much attention to what they request. Well, he's not the only one that requested less than last year.
Now, we're not giving you less than what you made last year.
I,
29,701.
I'm not sure how that happened.
Well,
Well, it's all right.
I would have tried to add some to it.
but yeah, that'll be okay.
So, I kind of got lost in the shuffle there. So you said you're out of money this year for doing any more of the
Yeah.
stones?
Yeah, because we, in the, we usually can maybe get 13, 14, 15, but we're working together, we were able to get a lot, so we're getting the budget on it.
Well, do you want us to try to figure, would you want to do a few more yet this year if we can figure out some money, or do you
Well-
not, or do you not? I mean, that's, your call, not mine. I'm saying that I might feel we might come up with some money if
Well, if you could come up with a little bit, that would be nice, because we've got 4 hanging, okay, that I haven't,
Right,
Yeah,
it would be
so-
nice to at least finish those up, wouldn't it, or
Yeah.
at least get that.
Well, the thing about, the more you get, the easier it is to get the next one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what we can do, if you have reasonable amount of balance in your perpetuation fund, we can do an additional appropriation for you and get you some extra funds
okay,
to help, to finish up for. You'll have to give us a number as to what you think the cost might be. I don't think we have to worry about you overspending,
it
so,
would be, I can tell you,
okay, well,
about $3,100.
$3,100, okay. I think that's doable. We can get that advertised before
Okay,
I think we can get that advertised before our September meeting, so
Because I have to advertise that tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yeah, it'd be getting awful close to it. Their meeting what's their next meeting, the 13th?
Yes, September the 10th is the next meeting. So I'd have to have it in this Friday. I have to have everything in the paper by this Friday.
I have nothing calendar in my mind, right? Has been published the 26th, so deadline's tomorrow.
Okay, we'll get that done.
all right,
And
thank you.
so you'll have $3,100 and to please finish up, that'll finish up the 4 you
4
said.
more, yes,
31 exactly, or?
31, that'll be done.
yeah,
Okay.
all right.
Well, we'll do that. I think that's great that you're doing that. So,
Right.
we'll do that and, unless you hear from us, you can say that that'll
Right.
go through.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Veterans Office. Come on up, Stan. I know I am. Gotta be in reading too, that's what you're thinking when I'm reading. Morning.
Morning. Hi, Stan.
I do.
Greg, you, I like your mask.
Yeah, kind of neat.
It
Isn't it?
is.
I think Roxy Rose still made it.
Yeah, she made a bunch of
Yeah. Paul said you can make some up with veterans. She made about a dozen of them.
She gave me 2 or 3 when I was mowing down there one day, and then I bought a half a dozen off her.
Yeah.
Bought a Claiborne, so we sued me for $4,000.
No kidding.
That's, wow. But she sells a percentage of it too.
Okay, the floor is yours, go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, you're right.
Well, I don't have a whole lot to say other than the most current GDX that I have that's supplied to me from the Department of Veterans Affairs shows that Parke County veterans that are receiving claims awarded to them is getting over $4 million annually. So that's money that comes into the county that helps veterans. And, that's one of the things that I'm most happy with, is being able to assist veterans file these claims and help them win the disability that they file for, along with pension benefits. The last couple of months have been extremely slow. People, I don't know where they went. I submitted in my budget this year the longevity pay. I'm not sure whether I'm eligible for that. When I first started here, I read one of the employee manuals where it says there's like two types of part-time workers, helpers. There's the part-time helpers, then there's full-time part-time. And I don't know whether that still carries on or not.
But it does.
So, if you look at it that way, I feel I'm eligible for that.
I think that the full-time, part-time just gives you vacation days, I believe, is what that does.
And you end up getting half of the, we give a raise across the board, and you get half of it.
Yeah, right.
And you get half the vacation time, if I remember right.
As far as longevity wise, part-time is not eligible for longevity. Sorry, the ordinance specifically says that.
The guy that had this job for me received all the benefits. He got vacation, the pension plan, health care benefits, the whole 9 yards. And when I took it over, they discontinued.
Yeah, I don't know what that may have been a change in the law, actually, where part-time people, once Obamacare came in, there were a lot of changes in the law. So I'm not sure, for instance, our county attorney was no longer allowed to have health insurance because of that law. You either were full-time or you were not. So I don't know if that's in particular the case you referred to or not, but I do remember when the law changed why they used to give the county attorney health insurance. Well, he paid his part, but he was on the health insurance, and when that law came into effect, why he had to go on. So I don't know about your particular situation, why that changed. I mean, as a county commissioner, anyway, I've asked for it. So, well, we'll do what we can. We might, we'll just have to see. I'm not sure. At this point on salaries, we're not really even going to make any decision until we know what the income tax numbers are. Because with the COVID and that sort of thing, it's going to work on the county's budget probably. So we'll do the best we can for you. We think you're doing a great job and keep up the good work, but we'll see what we can do.
Thank you, Stan.
Don't run on, don't run on.
We got somebody.
I haven't had a chance to even look, because I've been writing that additional overlook, or while you're talking. You did ask for a little more for travel. I'm just going to give you a chance to talk a little bit about that.
As of now, the two vehicles we got, the VA has temporarily suspended travel with that due to the virus. So if a veteran calls the office and absolutely has no way to go to an appointment, then I'm taking him
We're
where.
taking it for somebody else.
So that's one of the reasons that's came up a little higher this year. I don't know when they're going to resume transportation. Hopefully soon, but I don't know.
No, I figured there was a reason. That's why I wanted you to
Yeah.
talk about it. Okay. I have no other questions. Thanks, Sam.
Any other questions for Stan?
Good. Is the new building at Terre Haute going to benefit you?
Probably a little bit. Most of our medical appointments probably will be transferred there versus going to Terre Haute or Indianapolis or Danville. But if they pick up more, because more veterans will be going there, and they'll be wanting rides and stuff like that. I don't even know when they're going to start on that.
It started, I think, the groundwork. I have a neighbor lady that's a nurse that's a veteran in Terre Haute now. She lives in that little house, you know where Evelyn and Jimmy Holler lives? The log house where she lives in the little house east of it. She came down here from northern Indiana. I was talking to her about it the other day a little bit. She says it's going to be a great facility.
Yeah. I think it'll benefit a lot of veterans in this area.
I hope so. I hope it makes your job easier.
Yeah, I hope. You guys have a good day.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Dan.
Thank you. The coroner has been delayed. She's actually out on a case on Montezuma. So she'll be here when she can. So we're gonna move on. And I think the ambulance director may be late too, so.
Same situation.
Same situation. So Chris is here, so come on up.
Hi, Chris.
Hello. Kind of made a little report for you guys to see what was accomplished out there at the lake and what we're wanting to get done for next year.
I haven't
Good, because we got questions about that.
I haven't been back at the back of the park, but the front looks nice.
Thank you.
It looks nice, and also your staff is very friendly when I go in through there,
Good.
picking up. I don't know any of them, and I'm sure they don't know me either, but they're very friendly. And
Yeah, I'd like some, I don't know, paid for certificates to the pond and stuff, and they was just wonderful.
Yeah, awesome.
Absolutely.
it wasn't always like that.
You need one more?
Did you get one, Eric?
I got one, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, go ahead, and we'll let you talk first, and then we'll ask a few things.
Okay, so we finished most of the restoration of the old shower house. The sinks still need replaced and the stall doors. We've had people hang on them and try to bend them, break them off.
Imagine that. That was,
Let's see, we need to install new doors on the new shower house restrooms. They just have curtains and people keep ripping them down.
Before you get too far, and I'm confused. Are these what you're wanting to do?
Yeah, these are what I
Okay,
want to
all right.
do on the back.
At first thought you were saying that you had finished restoration and so on and so forth, so I just
Yeah.
wanted to clear that up for us.
Yeah,
Go
on the
ahead.
back page is the accomplishment for 2020.
Done.
Let's see. We'd like to put a new floor finish in the new shower house. It was left unfinished. This is kind of protect the floor. An additional 150 cash drawer for the second register. I've got most of the things in work. We get really busy on Fridays, Saturdays, and on holidays. We really do need to register. We kind of need to grow with the business. I've got most of the supplies already. The second screen monitor, I'm just waiting on the hard drive at this point. But especially like on drive-in day, when they have to wait like 12 hours just to get the reservation, I'm trying to speed up the process a little bit. Potentially getting another UTV, something like a Gator. The current one that we have right now backfires very loudly. I don't let the staff drive it early in the morning because I don't want to wake up the guests. But it'll also stall out.
Like a regular alarm clock for him.
Sounds like a gunshot. It scares me sometimes.
Any idea how old that thing is? I mean,
I have that's like a first generation John Deere
is it one
Gator.
of those real old looking?
It's pretty, yeah.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
And potentially install a new garage for managed residents. The current garage I have right now, I got permission from the park board to tear down. Jameson had kept the support and was actually going to drop it himself. Gregg decided to keep it. Every time we get high winds, it starts to lean towards the house. I don't want to damage the house, anybody, or the new park truck. We could continue the purchase of the new site sign in the campground. We got the entire back leak done this year. Potentially install a new dump station or make the rest of the back modern full hookup. We lost revenue on, when we put the new septic system in, it took out a bunch of primitive sites, entire section. So we need to make that revenue up somehow. Potentially buy another rowboat or a kayak if they get rid of quite a bit. During the month of July, you're probably not even really going to be able to get one if they get rid of that often. And then installing a new fence at the soccer field. I was going to team up with Parke County Community Foundation to see if they do like a grant or something. But I just want to kind of get that in everyone's thoughts. And then on the next page is the accomplishments for 2020. We teamed up with REMC earlier this year to cut down and remove any limbs that look threatening to our guests. We also teamed up with REMC to make the entire park more energy efficient.
So at this point, we've completed the program, and we'll actually get a rebate later this year for our completing the program. The majority of the old shower house has been completely restored. Everything's efficient, energy efficient, water efficient. Both shower houses now have energy efficient lighting. They also have sensors in there, so when they're not in use, the lights go down.
Yeah.
We repaired the rowboats, got them painted, we sprayed Flex Seal on the bottom, we keep them lasting longer. And then below is the new parts truck.
That thing will last forever now, but.
Yeah, I hope so.
Does it septic work good?
Yep,
Did you put the dump station in the septic system? We talked about that back when that was still working on, did you?
it's into the buildings and structures fund.
But you did put, with the septic system, there is a dump station that was put in, was it, right?
Oh, for this year?
Yeah.
No, it was just the septic part.
Okay, did they set everything up to be able to, I think?
Yeah, they capped it off, that's what I was talking about, yeah, they capped it off.
They
just in
did
case
do
we
the
decide.
capping.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess one of the things you did put in there, 10,000, so you got your new trucks in out of this year's budget, looks nice.
Yeah, yep.
You put in, I think, 10,000 for a vehicle, is that right?
Yeah, like a UTV.
Right, so you're looking to try to replace that gator then?
Yeah,
Is that what you're
the
trying to
axle's
do?
kind of bent a little bit, so when you're driving, it keeps wanting to pull to the right, no matter what you do. I mean, it's pretty bad.
Well, it sounds like it's probably better to think about finding something else. to
Sounds
put
like
money-
a wreck.
Putting money in that thing at this point.
It's old enough, you're probably throwing your money away.
Well, I wasn't trying to repair that, I just try to look for like a different
Some
vehicle.
kind of
Yeah,
different vehicle or something.
yeah. It doesn't have to be John Deere, it could be,
Well,
Yeah, you won't get a gator for $10,000.
Yeah.
You can get a Ranger for that.
Not even
Yeah.
a junkie one I have to get for that. So that's what that's for, that was the
Yeah.
main question.
And then your 23.5 that you asked for buildings and structures is going to cover all the rest of this list?
yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
oh yeah, yeah. We got our new water heater there at the old shower house too, so it's installed.
With no Bridge Festival, how do you think that's going to impact you in October? Do you?
It's still pretty early, but I made up a Excel spreadsheet. I have my gate attendants call, and so far nobody's canceled yet. So,
How's your user overall? I mean, have you been fairly full?
it's been very busy, especially on the
Very
weekends.
busy.
Yeah.
That's
The
good.
good thing is the bad thing. We had a break into the pop machine. We had a drunk guy break into the rain ditch there, destroyed it, took out the shrubs we had planted there. So,
Just part of doing business.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my mother-in-law set the cabins out of the lake. They started calling the people that were in them for the 10 days. And they had two that went ahead and canceled there. What else has got there?
Yeah,
So I think you're still going to have people
Very
here in
thirsty.
these scenarios.
yeah.
And several of them said, well, just, enjoy the country for.
Yeah, go look at the bridges and stuff, yeah. So,
There still be extra people here no matter what. Free country, so.
You got it
So far.
Yeah. You got a nice donation from the Isaacs estate.
Yep, for the Isaac shelter.
Shelter.
Yeah, yeah.
Did Madam Auditor, did you move that
Yes, I
revenue
did.
to the appropriate fund? Okay. That's in that shelter fund now instead of in 1219, because
And I've already
we'll
had.
forget down the road that that's what that was for.
Keep
How
it
do you ever
separate.
know?
Yeah,
How do
exactly.
you keep it
How do you ever
separate?
know that that's what it was and what's there? So it's in that fund,
Yeah.
can be appropriated.
I've had it repainted already too, because it was already resting in some spots. So
Yeah.
he went out there, the
It's
original.
a very
paint.
nice shelter. It was a nice donation to start and continues to be. So you're busy, revenues are good.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that, in building this thing, I guess that your revenues comparable to last year. I don't, let me look here. So I want to see what I did. Sorry, some of this I forgot.
It's all right.
So, you know what your revenue is on just general park receipts at this point?
That's not off the top of my head. Sorry.
I got you plugged in for about 190,000 next year.
Well, it sounds like if he has a decent fall season, why he's gonna be, like close.
I think that'll be in the ballpark. Let's see what it.
Right, I've got this revenues from past years, which I talked about.
Really care about what it is.
That last part of revenues is up to August this year.
Yeah, I carried the same numbers over last year. 160, almost 164,000 so far this year.
Yeah.
So, it's good.
So I think you're reasonably on track. I mean, as long as things keep going like they are, and we don't undergo a shutdown or something,
Oh, yeah.
where which I don't think that'll happen.
I think that really hurt you for that month or so that the campgrounds and stuff were shut down.
No, because as soon as we looked at that,
Made up
it's
for it.
been crazy busy. I mean, crazy busy. We've actually had a couple of weeks where we were completely sold out, even with primitives, so. People just want to get out of the house.
Yeah, there's nothing else to do either, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And you're running a pretty good ship down out there. People like to go there.
Yeah.
That's a testament to what you and your staff are doing. So
Yeah, I got a pretty good staff out there.
you're doing very well yourself. You've got a good staff. It's a place people like to go.
Yeah.
I hear nothing but good, positive reviews out of people that have spent time out there, including my own family. We go out there, and
I appreciate
so.
that.
Anyway, we'll be considering the.
Yeah, we'll just try to,
making a decision.
I'm fine with any of those things that you want to do, as long as there's funds available to do them.
Oh, yeah.
We'll keep working on that. I mean, I think we can make your budget work. So, I don't think there are any other questions.
Great job.
Great
Thank
job.
you, Jack.
Thank you, Chris.
All right.
You guys have a good day.
Yeah, thank you.
It's not gonna take me 2 minutes probably.
Well, I even gave you extra time because you have all those funds too.
On my 1,000 fund, of course, I know we're not talking salaries, I will say.
Well, you're welcome to say something
Well,
about
I
it.
just
I'm
put
not going to give you any
I put
answer.
an increase in there, as we always do, so that's the only change on salaries. The level 2, I've got 2 deputies, and they get 500 apiece, that's the same, mine's the same. Board of Appeals, I've got 500 in there, most of my board chooses not to get paid, but I keep it in there, 500 is not a lot, but, I did up my postage, there's some more talk about with this whole mobile home thing, they want VIN numbers. We had to show that we sent out a questionnaire asking for VIN numbers a few years ago. There is talk at our last district meeting, which was yesterday, that they're going to ask us to do that again, which I'd already heard rumors, so I put in some budgeting for extra postage. My office supplies are up, that's because for all the years that I've been here, sans this year, my personal property forms have been paid out of the auditor's office supplies, which I have no idea why. I don't think they should have been, but that's the way it's been. So this year they were paid out of mine, which caused me a shortfall. So I'm just asking to up that for those forms at this time. And I think that's basically the only change is on 1,000.
You drop your service contracts line of $10,000.
Yeah. And then on 11/31, no change at all there. All that's in there is my travel and equipment. I did amend 1188 after speaking with Roy.
the way our reassessment is paid, it runs from May to May. So when I inherited it, I'm paying what was left of Maryland's. And I don't think there was enough budgeted, not putting her down, I'm not bad mouthing, I'm just saying I don't think there was enough budgeted. And so then we just keep getting a little bit of a shortfall each year. So after Roy and I talked, I have upped the service contracts in 1188 to make the ship right at $200,000.
Yeah, we talked about this extensively. Every year, somewhere in, not too far from now, so September, October or something, we quit paying Tyler because we're out of money. That number rolls over, we catch him up right out of the gate, run the fund into the red, right out of the gate, and pay on until that same point happens again. We've also started paying monthly now instead of quarterly or something.
Well, whenever they would bill us after they do so much work, they just send a bill,
Yeah.
and it would be random amounts, so I have,
This is now a known number.
Yes, it is a
It's
known
contract amount, you know how much it's gonna be. So the increase is to get, the beginning of next year, is to get everything right sized, and that way then we're current on the year from there forward, instead of this business of carrying over anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000, and, you know, really know how much it is at times, every bit of that does not. So that's why you see a number higher than what is current this year and how significantly higher it is.
and we're not overpaying, just to let you guys know, we're not overpaying. Roy watches it very closely. We are not overpaying what our contract is. It's just the way it's billed and the way it has carried over from previous years.
But it's better to get this caught up so we're paying,
But you too.
yeah, because it,
I'm getting tired.
Yeah.
well, I don't know why, I think we just ran short funds a few years ago and then it just never really got caught up. Probably time to do that.
That's all I have. Do you have any questions for me, gentlemen?
Good. I don't. Good talk, Steve. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. I'll do Mary Alice, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I had a schedule, I mean, I tried to tighten up the schedule more, and I still get ahead.
I don't have many changes, just asked for a little raise, and I did ask for to take more for my part-timer out of the perpetuation fund.
We always appreciate that, if you can pay it out of someplace else for me.
Well, are you going to raise the part-time to 1250?
We haven't decided.
We haven't decided, we're thinking about it. How
Well,
do you feel about that?
I figured on that, and I know I first thought 17,000 was a lot. He works 4 days a week because he can't work 5 because he's part-time. But I figured it, you know, so it would be more than 17,000.
Don't you think that probably $10 is getting a little cheap?
Yes, yeah, really.
And
And
you can
maybe,
go to Casey's and start for $10 now.
Pardon me?
You can go to Casey's gas station and start for $10 now.
That's where you start at crack farms too, you know?
Lane is very good about, if Randy's not here, he's been in probably every office on this first floor, helping people with technical problems in the computers. So he's very smart that way, and he does help people do that, but he is good with people, and we are scanning our books. We'll start scanning some plaques to get them on the computer, and I think he's really a help to us.
Well, we have it on the list to address that. I almost brought it up when Chris was here, because he, of course, it would affect him with his seasonal people out in the park, but, you know, I think that $10 is getting, you know, gets to be pretty cheap to ask somebody.
And it raised my dues a little. You know, it seems like our salary goes up and they take a percentage of our salary, and it's always more and more all the time.
Is that how they figure that?
Yeah.
You say you submitted because you're salary.
Yeah, I knew that was good.
I knew that was going to be said.
What I have at this point to generate where we stand, and I've got to do something as we work through this to get numbers to start with, these part-time lines, and this applies not only to yourself, but any of the rest of you that have this, is I've taken that number, divided it by the hourly rate, to come up with a number of hours that you had available to use. And then I basically plugged a number in the sheet so that it can be changed to whatever we decide to do, whether it was 11, 12, 1250, and in the letter, you were told to calculate at 1250, and many of you mentioned that in your responses that you had done that. But I've basically taken the number of hours times a number so that we can set it and say what effect does this have on the budget. I haven't given more hours in this case, and I've listened to what you just said as well, and it doesn't mean that that can't be adjusted. But so that you know, whatever we set that rate at, that's how we're going to appropriate the money. Or at least how I've set this up to put that way. So, if we don't, we told you 1250, you calculated 1250. If we set it at 12 or 1150 or 11, whatever number would be, it'll adjust theoretically to that. So that's, so you know.
So do you think 1250 is a good number, or I mean, do you think that that's, we're decided that why? I mean, I'm hoping we can do that, quite speaking for myself only, but I think it's something we need to do. So, okay.
It's hard to find people to work anyway. To save $10 sometimes.
And used to, that was a lot of money, now it's not even.
It's not a drop in the bucket anymore.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kim?
All I basically need is my postage raise, because Mr. Meece started a new project for me this year that I wasn't budgeted for, which was mailing out buggy licenses. And when those are mailed, they're anywhere from $3 to $6.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, because they're not light.
Is it just because of that
you mean
little
a plate?
oh, you
The
made a
plate,
little
yes, the
plate.
plate. Yes, so I used up all I had in my reserves, plus my postage this year, which, you know, I'm not worried about the rest of the year, because all of our basic mail is.
We need to do like the B&B and have some kind of fee, you know, for selling, you know, sending that stuff out.
You can pick it up, or we'll charge you $6 a mail.
Yeah.
How you want to do it?
Well, you know, I try to work with everybody, and
Oh,
you
I
came to me with
understand.
this, you know, I
So-
go,
So that begs the next question. Since you've done all this, are you getting more licenses?
Yes.
You're getting more
Yes.
of the pay, then is the next question.
And there was also one of the gentlemen in the community who brought me a list of everybody, so that.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Boy, that was
Everybody.
nice, wasn't it? So gave you a mailing list then to start from.
How many do you think you increased this way?
Probably double.
Just about,
Yeah,
yeah.
you doubled it.
Yes, it did.
Then they're paying the wheel tax amount, which is $40, right? Is that right, what the fee is for the
They
budget?
paid 50 for their plate.
50 for the plate. Okay. That's what I mean, it's tied to that.
Yeah,
$50, okay.
you have like, you know, 3 plates to one address.
Oh, we mailed as many as 6 or 7.
Yeah, as I said, a lot of
So they're even doing decent on, because they have more than one buggy or carriage or whatever, so they're doing even decent on that. Or not? Sure, not sure.
Oh, well, not- I don't
Right,
think
moving
they're sure.
around.
Because some of them kind of got turned in by the gentleman who helped with the.
They kind of, after it got exposed, some self-reporting that went
Yes.
on, or self-exposing that went on.
I'd say you had a friend there.
Yeah. Who wants to be anonymous.
That's all right.
I
Yeah, it
understand.
doesn't matter, it doesn't matter who it was.
Yeah, I understand.
No, it doesn't matter. So the long and short of it is you need more postage to help cover that
Yeah. And
expense.
and I'm good with everything else.
Sounds good.
Put it in there while we're writing it down.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else you'd like to say? Any questions for Kim or?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh.
She asked me for $1,000 in postage. She lowered her
Increase.
office, or her service contracts amount by $2,000.
Okay, well, that's gonna be a problem. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Stacy. No election next year, so that's good news, right? voting machines we have to buy.
Nope. I think the only changes or budget increases I requested was for my part-time employee, like everybody else did, to accommodate for the pay raise, to still allow her to work 28 hours a week. My opinion on that is I think it needs done, if possible, because I know we have a really hard time keeping a part-time employee, and that's a really important job for us because it's our voter registration clerk. We can't make that voter registration clerk full-time, so $10 an hour is not a lot of incentive for someone to stick around year after year with all the training we give them and everything. So I know the one we have now doesn't plan on staying long-term, so especially not for $10 an hour. The other one was the annual software licensing and maintenance for our poll pad system, and I did attach our quote and agreement and everything that had been presented the year before. With that, they are poll pad or iPads, so they have to have annual updates and maintenance and stuff like that. So that's just to pay the company to continue providing us with those updates.
Yeah. You should have that in your letters.
It was in the letters.
But I think was the only changes. Everything else I kept the same.
Your extra, just really more for the audience, that your extra clerical number gets spread out over 3 different funds, and it's the same person, correct? And so it's in her clerk department, election board, and then the clerk's perpetuation.
Yeah, we used to have 2 part-time employees that only worked a couple days a week. One did voter registration, one did office filing and mailing, stuff like that for us. We just combined the 2 positions. We only have 1 employee in that part-time position now, so they just get paid out of that fund. We just, once one of them's exhausted, we switch to the next fund with payroll.
Is that how you're doing it?
She actually, so she has to get paid out of she gets half and half, basically. She gets half of her pay out of the regular budget line, half out of the election, and then once the line's exhausted, we switch it to our clicker clip perpetuation.
To perpetuation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's always paid part out of the election budget and part out of one of our budgets, regular budgets.
Okay.
Because
All right.
since she does both duties.
I got you. So you're paying all year out of election board,
Yes.
and then it's split between, the other part is split between your clerk general and
And the
perpetuation.
perpetuation piece.
And then we've generally been putting, the last few times, any increase for that position in the perpetuation fund. Now, this is going to beg a question here, because last year we granted your request to make this a regular part-time position, or part-time,
Permanent.
full-time, whatever you want to call that, right? Every other one of these gets handled under the situation where if we gave a $750 raise, those positions get $375. They're not subject to the same hourly thing that we're talking about here. That's how we've done they've gotten increases over time. Now, I'm just telling you, that's the situation, because we're going to run into that with some of these other ones. And I don't know, I haven't figured out how many hours or what her rate is per hour when you go at 28 or 29 hours a week or whatever over the total number of dollars.
It's like $10.98 an hour currently.
Is that what it is now?
So how are we going to figure that out if we go to 1250? And then you've got permanent part-time that maybe would say,
Maybe under that.
say if we don't give a raise, or if we give a small raise, well, then they might make less than 1250, which that's not right. So that, I guess it leaves it to us to figure it out, but it gets to be out.
They've been getting, maybe this one's new.
This one's
So
new, so you wouldn't
you're
face
probably
that
not
yet.
going
You're
up.
gonna-
Some of these
you're gonna
other
raise
ones may already be over that number.
I know.
The answer to that.
I'm pretty sure there's some that make close to what a full-time person makes, from what I've heard.
Well, I have no doubt
Another
that's
department.
possible. I have no doubt in my mind of that. There's a few that are probably pretty close to that.
Well, isn't there something though, they have to work so many hours to get that status of permanent part-time though? It's not, there isn't.
I
How
think
do you do
it's 32 hours.
32.
30, they have to work 32 hours a week to be the permanent part-time people.
But if you work 32 hours a week, we pass the Obamacare number, then it's
Yeah,
not
we were told,
everybody.
I was
we're getting
told that
it.
she had to stay at 28.
It's 28, it's the number for everybody you don't have to pay insurance
You're
for.
in trouble on benefits. if you
So,
go 32.
I knew we were getting that at some point, but I'm just saying, this adjustment to the part-time rate is going to be hairier than just slapping the numbers.
Because then you're gonna get into some of these salaries.
And what positions are, and I don't know that I have a list, I can go down through this and figure it out, I think, but what positions we have that are permanent part-time.
There's not very many.
There's not very many, there's a few, there's not very many though. But she's got one of them, we have a request from somebody for another one.
Health, probation's asking,
Probation.
health,
The extension.
health, and that's the second probation. Or not probation, second,
The second secretary, the extension.
What about the 4-H office?
well, that's what,
That's what we're talking about,
Yeah.
extension.
and then the health clerk, whatever you call her. Sophia.
So, yeah, so if you get a salary part-time, or permanent part-time, maybe we make less than, which,
Probably should have never started that permanent part. Okay, well, we'll have to figure that out, I guess. See, that's what happens, every time you try to do something, why then there's something complicated. Well, it would be just an easy decision, an easy deal, then it's complicated.
no good deed goes unpunished.
Anything else you want to say?
Do you, have you filled your vacancy?
Yes, she started yesterday. So we're still one short because we have Nicole on maternity leave until October.
Okay, all right, thank you,
Thank you, Stacy.
we'll try to work that out.
But we're missing somebody in that. At least two before we added the health and clerks and stuff.
Can you think of who else, can you guys, can we ask the payroll clerk, would she know about who would be the permanent part-time?
Yes.
Or you ask her and see if she can come up with that? I don't know.
What are you gonna Angie?
She's still kind of flat now. Community rest, do you think about anybody that would be that permanent part-time business?
Basically be a 4-day-a-week employee.
You gotta work over 3 days.
Mine works 5 days, she doesn't come in until 9, usually in the morning.
Okay, but basically that's what you're looking at, so.
I think it's, the only ones I know of are the extension, Sophia downstairs, mine, and then I know Jason was asking for them.
Jason asked for it, but been
But I don't
granted.
think she has it yet.
Yeah, that's been granted.
I thought there were two before Sophia got it. And then yours made, I thought maybe the fourth one.
Was EOC, did they have one? Used to? Or was she full time? She was.
Hold on.
She was just never there, you would have thought she was part-time. Well, that's how it was.
Well, yeah, it's harsh, but it's true.
I don't ask that.
Well, what payroll clerk?
Yeah, was he
Advise
one
on
of
that.
them, their advice on that? So.
Yes.
Good morning, Cassie. We're ready for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're running a little bit ahead, so.
Well, other than having 3 days a week, next week for extra clerical, that's really the only major change.
So, the way I understand it, it's your intention at some point to retire next year or sometime. So, what's the plan as when you decide to do that as far as your office? I assume that the plan commission will eventually replace you.
Yes.
And I have no idea here, so I'll just throw this out. Are they planning on maybe trying to hire somebody maybe a few months before you leave so that you can train them? Isn't that really what they ought to do, or
Really haven't discussed it
discussed it?
with them. I mean, I'd like to get
Well,
somebody
if I
in
didn't say
there.
anything out of turn, we put in our letter.
Well, I would like to get somebody in there, hopefully, that could work into.
Right, well, what I was thinking was, I mean, if they, if they hire your replacement, if we could put some money in there so that that person could be paid, while you're still there, and
Right.
you can train them for whatever anybody thinks, 3-4 months, or whatever you think is best. And then, once you have retired, why, then they move in, obviously, to your position.
Right.
Does that sound
Yes.
reasonable, or?
Yeah.
I like it better than a couple, 3 days a week over a longer period of time, because at least then you know that, all right, you pick somebody, they know this is the role
Right.
they're going to get.
And I'm open, to
Yeah,
that.
I just, we were thinking, some of us were talking about this
Right.
after your letter, and how do we accommodate the concept, because there's a lot to learn here. And it'd be nice to have a smooth transition here.
Yeah, I mean, I still.
You're trying to do that by sending that letter.
Yeah.
And making a request.
I'm still, to this day, learn something new every day. I mean, things just come up that,
Well, I think what we need to do from a budgeting standpoint is to put some money there available for someone, for your replacement to come in early, whether that's, whatever you tell us, 3-4 months, whatever, and have that there so they can be paid. And then when you then are retire, why then they're ready to go.
yeah, right now, I'm looking at sometime next fall.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
I mean, if it worked out, I don't have all my ducks in a row.
right, well, and that's certainly not something we need to get into or decide
Right.
today, but, the money will be there, and then when you talk to your board about how you want to do it and how you want to exit, why then you can, kind of get that new person hired, and that way you hopefully will be involved in the hiring process and get somebody that we think will stay, will be
Yeah,
good.
which I would like, obviously, I want to be involved in.
Yeah, well, I would assume that, I'm sure they
Yeah.
will, but, so what do you think? You're on the planning commission.
Well, then when we don't spend the money because we talk her out of return for that, why we'll just,
Well, if you-
we'll roll it over.
Well, if for some reason you change your mind and decide not to, well, then
It
it
doesn't
doesn't hurt anything.
Right.
I mean, we want to have it there, and I appreciate you sharing with this now so we can do it in the budget and not just telling us at the last minute of what.
And I wouldn't do that.
Well, we really appreciate that because it does happen, but, the money will be there, and then if you decide you want to stay longer, why, great. So,
Yeah.
big deal.
That'd be all right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
There is, there's a lot more goes on down that office. People realize.
So if you think maybe like 4 months pay, if we put money in for like 4 months, do you think that would be adequate? And it doesn't mean it has to be 4, but I mean,
Right.
I want to have enough so that they don't come back and say,
Yeah, that's,
you think 4 months?
Remember, it comes out really close to 3 months, just matching this out roughly on, back
Okay.
envelope. Now, I don't have a problem with the 4 months number
3 to
either.
4?
I'm just saying,
I
I need something.
would say 4.
Okay. We can adjust it. To do something like that, and then as time goes closer, you can update us on what's happened, maybe sometime, or send us an email or something, or maybe JP can just tell us something.
That works for me.
Okay, well, we'll try that, and I guess if that doesn't seem workable, I come back and let us know.
Okay,
Get a big plan. Is there anything else you want to say about your budget?
I don't have anything else.
Questions for Cassie? Well, we appreciate what you do down there. I know sometimes it's not all easy. Here once in a while, somebody's upset about something.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, well, get your building permit, you won't have
Yeah,
problems.
absolutely.
Would you tell me for July, 2 million? Well,
Oh.
over?
July was over 2 million, and I'm over, May was over $1 million, and I'm like 1.5 million for this month.
Bill?
It's been busy. It's been a busy,
So there's a lot of construction going on in this.
maybe not so many actual permits, which it seems like there have been quite a few, more than normal. but a lot of new expensive homes, a lot of new single-family dwellings, and they've got pretty hefty price tags on them.
Good for us.
Doesn't get any cheaper, I can say that.
No.
Spread that tax base out.
Okay?
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, I had a question for you. We have a few employees that are part-time people that are designated as part-time, full-time, and they get, for
Half
instance,
the insurance.
half the insurance, get what?
Or half the vacation.
Half the vacation and that sort of thing. For instance, Sophia in the health department is one, I believe.
Yes.
What we're trying to get to is who are they?
Yeah, do you know who they are, or can you come up with who they
I
are?
can come up with a list. I know, I think I want to say gets the vacation, and I'll go through the list, but there's some that don't get it. I know not on hers, but I'll go through all of them.
Yeah, just name them by position if you would. We shouldn't
Oh.
really probably name
Okay.
individual employees. But anyway, for instance, the secretary number 2 out of the extension, possibly that she would receive the vacation.
Okay, I'll have to look and see and go through the list.
If you wouldn't mind, if you could kind of just look through there and see which ones you think, or.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep,
That's
I'll
all
do
we
that
need.
right now.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. That's wrong camera. I don't want them to rattle in the whole employee's name.
We can censor something if we need to.
That's not good. Okay, Don, I know you're glad to be here. You always have to do this. I'll try to make it as painless as possible. I'll be here. Well, you can stay back there. I don't let Don go because Don doesn't like to be here. So.
Oh, I've already sweet talked Don
Did you?
downstairs. He's ready to go.
Okay. You have anything you'd like to share, Don?
Well, I talked with Roy earlier, like he said, I hate these things.
All right.
All right, just like you talked to me earlier, we're good.
We discussed, I've got two major leaks in the basement area, one on the north side, right here from my office, and one on the south side behind the dumpster area. I contacted AccuLevel this morning. I have an appointment the 27th at 10 o'clock to meet them to see what we can get done with the situation. But I had talked earlier with Roy on the financing end of this thing. I don't have my current budget status yet.
What's your email?
Prior to the last claim cycle, I was still a little over $40,000 in the 50/50 fund, which is building maintenance. I think-
40,600 is what it is.
Okay, so I really won't know too much on that situation until I meet with these people on the 27th. Other than that, as far as the next year's budget, I'm pretty much status quo on everything.
So is the leak, is the water running in, from?
It's coming in on top of the shop floor.
Is it from the foundation?
Yeah. It must be above the foundation, actually, because it's coming in on top of the floor, runs in behind the interior wall behind Kay's desk, across the office floor, and out the office door into the drain. And it takes a really hard rain for that to happen. It's not just a drizzle or anything like that nature. It's the same way on both of them. If we get a pretty heavy rain, then that's when the problems appear.
Don, one of the things that we talked about in relation to leading up to what you're talking about now was how much have you spent in what is being reimbursed from the CARES Act? Because you were asking me about what's that going to do to your number. Do you remember how much you spent out of those two lines for CARES Act?
Not totally offhand. I should have put those figures together, but I failed to. I'm guessing between maybe 5,000 and 6,000.
So it's a possibility we'll get a reimbursement for that, for
It's
those.
possible from the CARES Act. My invoices, bar is good, turned into Chris. He's surmising everything over there, I guess.
Right.
Did the first 30,000 show up this week, or earlier this week?
That I'm not sure. I haven't seen.
Chris said it maybe next week, yesterday.
Oh, Chris did.
That money does come in, is going into the CARE Act fund, And then I've asked Chris to get a line item on, in amount for each expense that came out. And then those line amounts will be transferred over to the CARE Act, and that will raise the general account.
Yeah, you have to do a bunch of journal entries for all those expenditures, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
there'll be a lot of.
Well, that being said, the point is that that'll bring his numbers back up a little bit. But until you get an answer from Accu level, we don't know what you're really talking about.
Right.
So I told him to go to contact them. We need to at least have an idea of what this number might be. It may not be a big number, it may be, who knows. But we don't know until you get them down here and get a quote on it. And then if you told me there was really nothing else you needed to do in building maintenance.
No, I'm already committed for $8,700, I think it is, with Kenny Ziegler to replace the stones that were broken out. That's already been approved, but I think I can handle that okay.
Yeah.
But
So was it Sigla?
Just let us know, or see what you find out, I guess. We'll work with you from there then.
okay.
Do that. So,
I'm thinking I'll probably be okay with the reimbursement from the CARES Act if that follows through and it comes back into
keep
play.
on, make sure you get your money, because it doesn't float away someplace. Get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Don?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you much. Yeah.
We'll see you. Yeah. You got one too, man.
Wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, Diane, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go to the corner next because she needs to go.
That's just
So,
fine.
if you're all right with that. I'm sure she won't be long, but she's been out on a case and she needs to go. Go ahead, Don. Been working this morning, I hear.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything other than just what's there.
The only change that you talked to me about that you requested
Oh,
this
yeah.
way was, please explain.
I'd like to, instead of having a separate amount for an assistant coroner and the 2 deputy coroners, I'd like to just pool that money and have 3 people that all get paid the same. Because I don't have one person that I use more than the others. So it's not a money change, it's just distributing it a little bit differently. Phyllis is probably going to go off of the payroll here soon. I've got somebody lined up to take her place. So at that point, I've really got 3 people that all have next to no experience. So it just doesn't make any sense to put one in.
I thought it made perfectly fine sense, so I totally requested that one.
Think your lab fees are going down this year?
What's that?
Think your lab fees are going down this year?
We just don't ever end up doing as many labs as we had budgeted for the last several times.
Cut her back?
And the state does a pretty good job of taking care of the accident ones, and some of the ones that we have to do, those never get billed to us.
Looks good.
Yeah. Any other questions for the coroner? Okay. All right, thanks for coming in. Yeah.
Thanks,
We'll
Don.
see you.
You can go home now.
Yeah.
Go play golf.
We were doing well on numbers till about the past 3 weeks.
Oops.
Yeah, right.
It really is, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tis the season.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yeah,
All right,
thank you.
Thank you guys.
Be
Yeah.
careful.
Yeah. Diane?
The budget request for the Convention and Visitors Commission is the same as the previous year, $165,000. Those requests are based on the innkeeper's tax receipts. And of course, we all know that those have been a lot lower than normal. I do keep a spreadsheet of the receipts, and I have one from 2006 until now, and as far as what the innkeeper's tax receipts were. And actually, if you look at the spreadsheet for the 6 months from January to July, they're not that much off from last year. Last year, the receipts at this time was $42,244.73, and this year, as of July, that's not including August, is $34,364.24. So it's not really that much.
Not as bad as what
Not
you
as
might
much.
think.
Right. If you look at the totals for the year, last year, I have $150,956.96 in receipts for the year. And so far this year, it's $38,670. So that's a lot of ground to make up. But,
Normally festival time.
Well, it sounds like from what you just said, that you're making up from the end of July on, 110 of the 150,
yeah.
roughly, and I realize
But
that's.
we won't have the festival.
You're not gonna have the festival, so.
So that's going to break.
Well, as long as and for the, this is one of those funds, we pass that through, I make the revenue up to make it balance for you. But you can't transfer more out of this fund than comes in.
Yeah.
So,
What you get is what you get. And
What you get is what you get.
Back in
And
that.
we're prepared to do that. I also keep a pie chart of our expenditures so we can see exactly where our funds are going. And the largest part of them are internet and social media and that kind of thing. So, which is the way the world is going. So we have to follow the way the world goes. So that's all I have. Do you have any other questions?
Carry on another year.
Carry on.
We'll do the best we
We
can.
appreciate what you're doing.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming up.
thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Diane.
Thanks, Steve. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we're on break till about 10:15 when the health department comes, so.